Hi, welcome to our series all about how to do fix differently. So I want to just take this first episode and just kind of preview for you a little bit about some of the themes that we're going to talk about in this series. So it's called Doing Fix Differently. So it's still about fix. That's the protocol that we're going to focus on mostly because that's the protocol that most people use. But it's also about doing fix differently, which means that we're not going to be particularly exploring the status quo. We're not going to be talking too much about the mechanics of fix. We're going to be talking about how people can do fix differently and better. It's going to cover things like systems, tools, and processes, the stuff that surrounds fix. So what does a fix onboarding team do? What does a production support team do? And how can they be more efficient about it? There'll be some really key themes that we're going to try to drive out here. First is around automation, then efficiency, and thirdly about being smarter with the resources that you have. Now, these are three themes that you've probably heard quite a bit from your management, top-down type of themes saying you've got to do more with less. And what we're going to do in this series is we're going to start thinking about some of the ways that you can change your tools and processes to start delivering on that. Okay. We're also going to talk to some of the vendors and some of the participants in the market who are pioneering some of these changes that might be useful for you in the firm to actually improve your processes. So it's about getting the most out of what you have. But it's also about improving things for your firm. So that means onboarding customers faster, getting more revenue in the door, but also massively improving the level of customer service that you give to customers. Now that might mean things like self-serving certifications or helping them to understand exactly what your API is so that they don't do a lot of rework. And we'll go through each one of these things as we touch on the various pieces as we go. Now, the first thing to say about all of the recommendations and the tips and tricks that we're going to show you in this series is that we recognize that it is not a one-size-fits-all game. We understand that a small startup trading venue is not the same as a large investment bank, which has offices all over the world. And so one size really doesn't fit all. There are some things that a small startup might want to do and is okay for them, perhaps with a limited number of customers, or they're focused on onboarding customers for the very first time, that might not be appropriate for the large guys, and vice versa. And we'll kind of flag those up as we go through this. The other thing that we're going to try to be quite sensitive to as we go through this is the idea of critical mass, or chicken and egg. There are lots of innovations going on in fix, things like machine-readable specifications that require a level of critical mass or a level of industry adoption before they become useful for lots of people. So why would I write my specification in a particular XML format, for example, if nobody's ready to read it yet? That's the chicken and egg problem that I'm trying to articulate. So whenever we come across an idea like that, we're going to flag it up to you, make it clear that that's something you need to bear in mind. And at all points, we're looking for things that can help you and your firm without having that level of critical mass. So anything that you can do just internally to get value out of something, those are the things that we're going to try to identify for you. Now, we're a software vendor by our very nature, and one thing that we always get, and the thing that kind of motivated us to do this series is whenever we show our tools to people, they say, well, look, I love what you're showing me, Chris, but we kind of have something like that internally. Maybe it's been built by some internal developer, or maybe it's been cobbled together from something else. But we don't have that piece and we want to just buy one piece out of it. And really for me, this is part of the overall challenge that a lot of firms have in the fix space right now. Through a combination of legacy hacks and compromises, they end up with this patchwork of tools and patchwork of processes that mean that actually there's very little integration going on between these various different tools. I talked to one person recently and they said, well, every morning I sit there for the first probably 10, 15 minutes of my day simply opening up the applications I need during the course of the day, because there are so many applications that I need to open up. I need to get them ready for me to be able to use things. And he spends most of his day copying and pasting things between various different applications in order to do his job. Now that is something that's actually a blocker to overall automation, because things can't be automated if they're disparate systems, but also from efficiency and customer service perspective. If somebody who's talking to your customer needs to look in 4 different systems to be able to answer a simple customer question, then you've got a problem. It's the reason why most sophisticated, well-run customer service desks nowadays have dedicated customer service software to help them be more efficient. So automation and integration, those are two key words that you're going to hear me come back to again and again in this series. It's moving away from the patchwork, moving towards a more integrated solution, but hopefully doing it in a way that allows you to that allows us to recognize the level of maturity that you actually have at this point in time in your system. So that's what we're going to try to cover in this series. It's all going to be around automation, efficiency, being smarter. We're going to talk about systems, tools, and processes. We're going to interview some interesting people along the way, hopefully give you some tips that you can take back into your firm to make your firm smarter and better, get more revenue in the door, and hopefully make you look awesome in the process. So don't forget to subscribe to this series by clicking the link below. Drop us a comment, tell us about something that you're interested in us covering, and of course, like our video if you got value out of it. So I hope to see you next time for Doing Fix Differently.